Stephen King was recently interviewed and gave Meyer's name as someone he thought couldn't write. He also gave several other names, but Meyer is the one that's making all the internet headlines. Why is that? How can Meyer not being a good writer be news to people? Or even the idea that a real writer might not like her?
Because, 1, Meyer's the most popular that hacks to be outed. 2, because they're too stupid to realize that she's a hack. And 3, because they're also too stupid to realize that people vary on matters of entertainment and enjoyment.
Hows can hate Twilight so much? What is wrong with it not right? Muir is like an awesome fucking person. She's human. Leave her the fuck alone, bastard. Leave Meyer alone right fucking now. How could you hate her so fucking much? You're just jealous of Edward. Fuck you. Fuck you, asshole. Edward is like so awesome. You're just jealous that he has Bella and you don't. Don't hate Twilight again. I'll bring my Twilight friends on you.
Right.
Would you say that Stephenie Meyer is the Uwe Boll of literature? Or is there a worse published author in your eyes?
While she's definitely comparable to Boll, that doesn't necessarily mean that she's the worst out there. It simply means that she's the more famous of the talentless hacks in her field. As for someone worse, I'd have to go with either Lauren Miracle or Cassandra Clare. The former because she used net lingo instead of English, and the latter because she couldn't be bothered to make up her own characters. At least Meyer used a botched form of English and had her own characters, flat and static though they may be.
About how much longer do you believe the Twilight fad will last before the books are lost forever in the void of trash pop culture that people will laugh about in future decades?
Unfortunately, until toward the end of the movie franchise or a little after. Unless, of course, the fans actually come to realize how horrid it all actually is.
Since Meyer wants to write about sirens or mermaids or whatever it is she's doing, do you know of any good books about them? Other than The Odyssey and The Little Mermaid, I can't think of any books that mention either creature. At least with vampires/fairies and aliens that possess people, there was still a ton of good stuff to read with them in it. But mermaids and sirens?
One of the sad facts about folklore is that there are just so many creatures that are left largely untapped. And while this makes it difficult to find any books that pertain to them, the plus side is that future writers will have a lot of room for creativity if they ever decide to branch out away from the standard fare. And while I don't know of any books off the top of my head, for sirens at least, you might have better luck seeking out books that are about harpies, because while they're not entirely the same, they're basically the land-born equivalent of sirens.
How is it that you know everything, even about swallows?
Because I'm Zax.
Because Meyer's books are so bad, even if the Twitards won't admit it, how the fuck did they get to be so popular?
Because her writings are just as bad as those written by the majority of the fandom, and therefore appeals to their stunted sense of literature.
When will you return to that project you're working on that isn't related to Twilight, or anyone else's for that matter?
Whenever I have a moment with a notebook and my muse strikes again.
Why do all or most Twilight fans have bad grammar or spelling?
Because they're stupid enough to think that Meyer's verbiage is intellectual.
What book series about vampires would you rather Twilight fans obsess over?
Either the Sookie Stackhouse series or the Saga of Darren Shan. You know, books that actually require something vaguely resembling thought.
There's a girl on my bus who told me I sucked when I said Edward was a cop-out, half-arsed, or not fully developed, and pretty much gay for sparkling. What would you say to that? Also, how do you feel when you see those Twilight hoodies and Team Edward and Team Jacob t-shirts?
Yeah? Well, fuck you! And disappointed.
If the antis haven't done anything bad to the lovers, other than saying that they don't like the book in a nonviolent manner, why do the lovers strike back with, well, violence?
Because they have all the intellectual capacity of a stump, and they have all the tact of Fred Phelps.
Why do you think Smire makes her female leads so weak?
You write what you know.
Why is it that all characters in Meyer's little fantasy world that got some sort of decent characterization always get the short end of the stick?
Because they became too complex for her to handle, and they outshined her dynamic duo.
I was just curious. Given Twilight's target market is tweens and teens, do you think that the underlying ugliness of the books is going to have a negative influence on readers?
I think it already has. This would explain why they so violently oppose the existence of, say, TwilightSucks.com.
Will girls who read the books get the impression that stalking, controlling, and abusive relationships are acceptable?
Some of them have already begun to exhibit such behavior. So, unfortunately, yes.
Hey pretty girl, did you go to college? Did you get your BA with all that knowledge?
What is that? No. No.
I was answering questions that I...
Motherfucker, don't you ever forget!
What? Were you expecting me to?
Jizz in my pants.
God damn it.